take projection.
It's Friday morning, and you know what that means. It's time for another episode of the Alabama Slam podcast. I'm your host, Corey Hanna.
What's going on, guys? It's Patrick Akers.
And we're gonna flip it up a little bit this week. Since we just had the pay-per-view in AEW, we're gonna start off with that. And the hot topic for the week is obviously MJF and Bryan Danielson, and maybe some of the aftermath of what happened. Not as newsworthy or making the rounds as much as the all-out brawl-out last year, but MJF's got a little bit of heat on him. And there's some people I've seen that think it was all a work, so we'll get into all that. Patrick, go ahead and just give me your thoughts on let's go into the match first.
So you asked me after Sunday night. I actually fell asleep right before this match kicked off because I'm an old man, and I mean, shit, these things are long. So I have since watched MJF and Danielson twice, and I have to say, and a lot of people are saying this, so it's nothing new. This is the best Iron Man match of all time, and this is one of AEW's best matches ever. You know, we complained about the build to this pay-per-view. We complained about the build specifically to this story between Danielson and MJF. But damn, like when AEW does these fucking pay-per-views, they go all in. Like they rarely miss ever in terms of the wrestling action. And the thing I loved about this Iron Man match too is it actually told a story in the match itself, right? You know, we get all these the wrestling narratives unfold a lot with the promos and everything that happens, before and after the bell. But really, for the most part, in a lot of wrestling matches, there's not a lot of huge story beats that take place, right? This Iron Man match, start to finish, was just absolutely perfect because the whole story leading up into this match was, hey, MJF may be the devil, but he's not the greatest wrestler ever. There's no way he's going to be able to hang with Danielson. And you saw it as soon as the match started, right? MJF kind of powders out of the ring. He walks around it a little bit. They go to lock up. What's the first move that MJF hits? He hits Danielson with an arm drag, right? An elementary school, first couple weeks in wrestling school move. And so, MJF poses, he postures a little bit, and Danielson just kind of smirks. And then for the next 10 minutes, Danielson just hands MJF his ass with a technical wrestling just showcase. And that's where MJF goes to the outside. He starts to unravel. He throws the fucking drink on the kid, which I'm sure we'll circle back around to. And then MJF starts going to the shoulder, right? Because Danielson's got that hurt shoulder from the weeks that he made Danielson run this gauntlet of all these superstar competitors. And then about 20 minutes in, Danielson starts coming back. MJF starts going, oh, shit, I can't put this dude away. What the hell's going on? MJF starts to get out of his comfort zone, right? He does the springboard moonsault to the outside, something he never does. And commentary's kind of bringing it up like, oh, MJF's trying to go out of his element here. He's trying to go to these waters that he's never been before to try to beat Danielson. He hits that fucking moonsault. What happens? Bums his knee, starts grabbing his knee. And then they just go on from there. It was orchestrated so beautifully. And then, in between there, MJF's grabbing the water, right? Because he's being drugged into deep waters. Nobody's ever done this to him before. Even at the very end, bringing the oxygen tank out.
Yeah.
Danielson didn't need an oxygen tank. Danielson's fired up. MJF's there on the floor, but, he sees it now that it's gone to overtime. He can't beat this dude the way he wanted to. So then, of course, he resorts to dirty tactics, which he even done in the match, right? He low blows Danielson, which I think if I had one critique of this match, it was that in that spot where he kicked Danielson in the nuts and Remsburg DQ'd him, which gave Danielson one fall, and then MJF pinned him twice consecutively to make it 2-2. The audience really didn't know what was happening because there was no moment to let it breathe. It just went boom, boom, boom.
I don't want to interrupt for too long, but I missed all of that section because I've bitched about this on every pay-per-view, but for whatever reason, Fire Stick Bleacher Report do not work well together. I even tried, I had a Roku in there last time. I never have problems with any other streaming services, but I hit the fast forward button because I knew I was a couple minutes behind, and I just wanted to make sure I was staying current, so I didn't miss the end of the pay per view, because that happened to me last time. I missed the last like 5 minutes because I was so behind with buffering issues. So I had hit fast forward, and all of a sudden it's 2-2. And I was like, what
Yeah.
the fuck happened? And I didn't want to rewind and what, whatever. So, and I didn't go back and watch. So now I know what happened.
Yeah, and even the audience was like kind of quiet because they didn't know. Like, and again, it's just it's picking nits there. But if like MJF would have used the Dynamite ring, and then Remsburg gives Danielson a fall, then they have to wait until Danielson makes it back up to his feet. And of course, the American Dragon being the babyface, right? He's not going to go out like that, so he staggers back up to his feet. Boom! MJF hits him with some kind of move, hits him with that Heat Seeker Pile Driver, pins him, and then Danielson gets back up. He hits him with another Heat Seeker Pile Driver, pins him again. Then the third time when he hits it, Danielson kicks out. And then now you got 2-2, and the audience knows what happened, right? Instead of it being so fast like that. But yeah, I mean, this was just an excellent match through and through. And I thought, boy, they had me at the end. I really thought Danielson, when he started doing the yes chants, I was like, oh fuck, are they gonna like they hooked me? I was like, maybe he'll do it.
Yeah.
And then of course, I love too that Danielson actually tapped out and didn't pass out.
Yeah.
Because one, it puts even a bigger feather in MJF's cap. And then also it gives Danielson kind of a crisis of confidence here, right? You saw that on Dynamite, which again, if we want to be nitpicky here on Dynamite, I really wish they would have advertised that like tonight on Dynamite, you're going to hear some pretty shocking post-match comments from Bryan Danielson, because essentially right now his story is he looks like he may be contemplating retirement. Because he was like, maybe I need to go home. Like, I wish they would have built that up more, that like, was Revolution the last time we ever saw Bryan Danielson in a ring? Now, of course, that's not going to be the case, right?
Right.
But play it up for the story some. But yeah, I thought this Iron Man match, for as much flack as we gave the build of it for, and I think rightly so, I think the build to this was lackluster. The build to the whole pay-per-view I thought was a little bit lackluster. But I mean, goddamn, if they don't fucking deliver every single time when you pay $50 for a pay-per-view, they're gonna make sure you get your money's worth.
Yeah. No qualms about that. Like they definitely always deliver when it comes to.
Although why was
product.
MJF not on the show Wednesday to gloat? Why did he not cut that promo just in the ring?
Yeah. That's a good question.
Again, like following up with this kind of stuff, like he literally should have been the first thing on Dynamite. Dynamite opens, they do the pyro and his music hits. He comes down to the ring, and he can do the same exact promo that he did backstage. Now, obviously, it might not have as much gusto because he's not covered in blood and everything like that. But just having him on the show, I mean, he's the champion. But again, those are the. It's those kind of moments that AEW struggles with all the time, right? It's never been the in-ring action.
Yeah. Let's talk about the throwing the drink on the kid. And what are you thinking there? Like, at first I was like, well, he just like tossed a water on somebody, no big deal. And then somebody said, it came out that it was supposedly tequila. And then there's people saying that it was a plant in the crowd and so on and so forth. What do you think about all of it?
I mean, I don't know. MJF is the master of this fucking kayfabe. Who knows? Walking the line. Is it real? Is it not? Is it the part of the show? Is it not? So listen, if it was a plant and seemingly nobody else knew about it, then that's great stuff. You could imagine maybe Max just sent somebody out there and was like, hey, go talk. Don't tell anybody, but go talk to, those people over there. And then he could have just done it for real, right? It could have all been. And then if that's the case, I think you really have to have a sit-down conversation with him and be like, look, you're doing great work, but there's got to be a line here somewhere. Like you can't. I don't know. Throwing somebody's hat and that kind of stuff. Throwing people's popcorn. I get all that kind of stuff. Throwing a drink into somebody's face. Maybe that's the line. And also, like, hey, what if that was what if dude's dad was there and we're 10 minutes into this main event and MJF chunks a drink in a kid's face and old daddy just cold cocks MJF and what if he knocks his ass out? Well, fucking here we are in a damn pay-per-view, dog. What are we going to do?
Yeah.
Satellite time, we only got a certain amount of window we advertise. So it's just you can put yourself in bad situations like that. So, I don't think it was anything too major, but I think it's also a teachable moment to just be like, hey, maybe love what you're doing, getting good heat, but let's try to be a little bit smarter about it going forward.
Did you see any of the press conference?
I did see the press conference. I thought the press conference was amazing. Every AEW's press conference, and I think we've said this before, they should just use it as an extension of the show. It's another storytelling avenue that you can play with. So I would tell all the people, everybody's in character. We treat this like it's 7 to 9 o'clock on a Wednesday night on a Dynamite show. Like that's how we do these press conferences. So I thought it was perfect. I love him getting in Brian Alvarez's face. I love him getting in Dave Meltzer's face. I love the fact that he was trolling CM Punk with those fucking pickles.
I didn't see the whole thing. I just saw basically when he entered the room. I saw that on TikTok. So it sounds like it was good fun.
I said it before, like he's just, if you wanted to know what Ric Flair would have been like with the modern day media environment, this is it. This is Max. It's moments like Sunday night that I feel good about saying like, hey, this dude could potentially be one of the best to ever do it. Because he just delivers in these types of moments. And the big question mark for a lot of people was his wrestling ability. And I think he rightfully shut a lot of people up like that. You even look at somebody like, on the other company, Roman Reigns. Has Roman Reigns ever had a match that was this good? I don't think so. Now, Roman's character, I think, it rivals MJF, and Roman certainly has a charisma about him and a presence that's a little bit different than MJF. But he's never had a match this good. And a lot of it, too, has to do with the dance partner being Bryan Danielson, right, who we've rightfully, and a lot of people have rightfully called the greatest in-ring wrestler of all time.
Yeah, imagine thinking Bryan Danielson ain't the GOAT.
Bro, you could if you just took a DVD box set, if they still did those, and it was literally just of Bryan Danielson's matches in AEW, that might be the greatest fucking in-ring wrestling box set of all time.
Yeah, I mean, he's put on nothing but bangers since he went to AEW.
Omega, Hangman, Bandito, MJF,
Roosh,
like you fucking just go down Moxley, go down the line. Like it's a joy to watch. We're lucky to get to watch him, and I think he's probably not going anywhere. I think he might just go down to Ring of Honor for a little bit. That's my guess anyway. But yeah, we'll see what's next for the American Dragon. We'll also see what's next for MJF. I mean, who's he going to feud with next? Is it going to be Hangman?
Yeah, that's what I was about to ask. Was where does MJF go from here? We earlier late last year or whenever he took the title, we speculated about a couple things. Ricky Starks happened, Danielson happened. We said maybe Kingston, but now it looks like Kingston's going to be Ring of Honor for a while. So, I mean, I don't know. Who do you think is the next? Do you think Hangman is the next logical step, or?
I thought that before I watched the show Wednesday night, and then saw, for some strange reason, Jon Moxley was having a match after he had just went through a death match and had been hanged. Somehow he is able to compete 3 days later, but that's a whole other discussion. But then it looks like they're going to continue that, right? Because Evil Uno came out and Moxley beating up the Dark Order. Out comes Hangman. So maybe that's not the end of that feud. MJF and Adam Cole have had words on Twitter. So, we should see Adam Cole back in action here the next couple weeks. Is that somebody? I don't know. You got a little bit of time here before Double or Nothing, but again, like I would like to see this momentum be kept up. I would like to see some more stories be told. If they took the stories in AEW as seriously as they took the wrestling, this would be the greatest pro wrestling show that's ever been, top to bottom. But they excel in one area, and then personally, I think they're less than mediocre in the storytelling aspect of their programming.
So we touched on Moxley and Hangman for just a second. I personally was ready for this storyline to be over, and I thought they ended it with the match the other night. And then even Hangman talking to Renee last night, but then he comes out to try to save the Dark Order, who were getting their asses whipped after they got beat in the ring. I just don't know. We need to keep going down that road, but we don't need to dig too deep into that. What'd you think of this match? I thought it and the main title, the main event, like, were both pretty untouchable in terms of performance.
Yeah, I mean, this Texas Death Match, much like Darby Allin has the coffin match in AEW, is like his special kind of match he gets up for. I believe Hangman Page is now undefeated in AEW in Texas Death Matches, right? He had that classic with Lance Archer where they took down the ropes and he did the buckshot off the referee's back that we love so much.
Mm-hmm.
And then, these two just beat the fuck out of each other Sunday night.
Yeah.
It was everything we expected it to be. Moxley brought out a fork. Hangman draped the barbed wire over himself to hit him with a moonsault. It was stiff. It was action-packed. It made some people in the crowd, like, they got some really good reaction shots of people just recoiling in anguish as these two were just beating the shit out of each other in the ring. That chair spot that could have almost been a damn disaster that they managed to pull off. And then I love the fact that Hangman got the win because I thought he needed it. Obviously, it looks like they're going to go with Moxley and the Blackpool Combat Club being heels, which is something that they've teased for a little bit, but now it looks like they're going to go full bore in that direction. Probably the right call because you don't have a lot of heels outside MJF at the top of the card in AEW. You got a lot of baby faces, particularly now that, Adam Cole, when he left, was a heel. Not going to be a heel coming back, obviously, from his injury. So you need a guy like Moxley and Claudio and Yuta, and they can play that role.
They've kind of leaned into it. They haven't done the full bore like turn, but like, coming out and beating the shit out of Dark Order after the match was pretty heel move.
Yeah, it's a heel move. And I love the finish of the Texas Death Match too. I love the chain over the neck. Again, love the fact that Moxley tapped out instead of passing out. Because AEW's kind of overdone the passing out from a submission stuff. Now it's time to let guys start tapping out for real. And we finally got to see Hangman hang somebody. Yeah. We hadn't seen that in AEW yet. So
I hadn't really thought of it that way until you pointed that out via text.
And I love Hangman's special entrance too.
Yeah.
I thought that was nice. MJF's special entrance with the orchestra really didn't do it for me because it was weird a little bit, like the way they transitioned it as normal music.
Yeah.
But Hangman coming out with the all black to that special music, I thought that was a nice touch. If I'm booking, I never would have had Moxley come out Wednesday night. He would have had to take a couple weeks off before he just was able to wrestle a match, particularly because like Hangman came out limping when he was making the save.
Yeah.
But John Moxley was somehow able to just wrestle. Again, consistency and logic.
With no bandages or any kind of shit.
Not even have his ribs taped up, didn't have a shoulder taped up, nothing. He's just out. He's still doing it. I would have Hangman challenge MJF for the title next. But looks like they might not be done with Hangman Moxley. But where do you go from here? Unless it's a faction versus faction thing.
Yeah.
But
I mean, that may be what they're planning.
Yeah.
So let's take it back a little bit. What'd you think about Jericho and Starks?
It was fine. It was a good opener. Way more Jericho fans than I anticipated. Did you catch that?
Yeah,
There's a lot of Jericho chants.
I don't know. I just felt like it was a little flat for me, and obviously we're huge Ricky Starks guys, but like, I don't know, man. It just didn't have the energy I felt like it needed to be the first match of the night.
Yeah, I mean, in retrospect, I probably would have had the trios match here. Just because of how bonkers that fucking match was and how
Yeah,
incredible it was. Uh, but Starks is a big enough of a star, so the crowd pops just for him in general. So I think him being the curtain jerker in this pay per view was okay. I think it kind of fell flat for you just because like this is not again like we talked about last week. It's the Jericho special. this feud just ran out of steam
yeah,
because we went backwards with it from where pro wrestling usually does. But I'm glad Starks got the win. It looks like moving forward to Wednesday night, he put the Jericho stuff behind him. And then, of course, Wednesday he comes out to cut the promo. I know Jay White's not in Bullet Club, but when that music hit, I legitimately thought Jay White was coming down the ramp.
yeah. That's what I thought was happening too.
And I think the people in the audience did too, because they got hyped. And then when Juice Robinson was in the ring, they were just like, oh, okay. It was not who we thought it was.
I just thought that was probably how they were teasing the next Forbidden Door. But then Juice came out, and I was like, well, he's AEW.
Yeah, he's not. I don't think he's with New Japan anymore.
No.
And I like Juice Robinson a lot. Again, I think it's another guy that needs to be on television more. So Juice is a guy that can kind of match Ricky's charisma on the mic. So this should be an entertaining feud, and I want to see more of Juice Robinson. But yeah, like you said, I think it's teasing some kind of Forbidden Door because Ricky made the explicit comment of it. Where does he go next? And of course, we got Forbidden Door coming up in I think June or sometime this summer. So you got to start building that. And I don't think Ricky Starks was on Forbidden Door card last year.
I don't think he was either.
I don't think he was on there. So a lot of good matchups for him to have with a counterpart from New Japan. And it gives Ricky something to do too while, obviously you want to protect him as a main event star, but you can't have him go up against MJF again,
Yeah. Yeah, the promos between Starks and Robinson should be fun.
Yeah.
I don't know how, I guess they'll have a match next week, right? So
did they announce it already?
I think so. I could be wrong. Could be ahead of myself, but that should be fun. TNT Championship, Samoa Joe versus Wardlow. Give me your thoughts.
I mean, this was the worst match of the night, right?
Yeah.
I don't even think it was close. Again, it was kind of positioned a little bit weird on the card because it came. Where did it come? It come right after the Texas Death Match, right? And before
I thought it was before. I feel like the death match went right before, but you may be right.
No, I'm looking at here. So it went right after the death match because it went death match, TNT Championship, tag match, and then the main event. So
shit, I'm all fucked up.
So yeah, it came right off of the heels of that death match. I mean, look, Wardlow has the move set. It's cool that he's a big guy and can do these like Jeff Hardy moves. Again, like I've talked about with his character before, I just don't believe him when he wrestles, when he talks, none of that stuff. And I think it's the right move to probably have him beat Samoa Joe because I think now that Powerhouse Hobbs is back in the fold, Samoa Joe and Hobbs can't really coexist because they take up sort of the same narrative space, right? They're both big, hoss, badass heel dudes. And so it's probably better served to let Wardlow beat Samoa Joe. And then going forward, Samoa Joe would just exclusively be on Ring of Honor now that it has some kind of television. And then, Wednesday night, Hobbs beat beat Wardlow for the TNT title. And
Yeah,
what
I
was
mean, I think
just
we all saw that coming because of the Face of the Revolution stuff.
yeah, I wish the match would have been better. Well, I wish the ending would have been better. That fucking crash pad just looked absolutely awful.
So, so I've seen a lot of shit about that. Like, what were they thinking?
I think coming off Willow trying to do the Dudley Boys power bomb to Anna Jay, and she missed the table completely. They just want to protect their wrestlers, which is admirable. You got to have it look good though. It can't. He barely sunk into anything.
Yeah,
Like, I don't know. Can he take a spine buster on the ramp? That might have been more of a convincing finish, right?
yeah.
If QT comes out, hits Wardlow with the chair, Wardlow, does the shit to him, turns around, Hobbs hits him with a spine buster right there on the ramp. Commentary puts it over. 1, 2, 3.
Or at least shoot the crash pad at an angle where you can't see that it's clearly the fucking crash pad.
But it was as high as the damn stage.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
barely, the crash pad itself was the size of the stage, as high as the stage.
Ridiculous.
It just wasn't. Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking there, and it made the whole segment. And I don't know. It might have came across different in the arena, but it looked bad on television.
Yeah.
And I'm not even mad at QT like joining forces with Powerhouse Hobbs. I think that could be interesting. QT, I think, is a talented guy and can do some things in a managerial role, particularly now that he's away from the factory. And you give him a guy like Hobbs who has all the potential in the world.
Yeah.
And, let's see if maybe they don't. We said this last time when Samoa Joe got it and they've hot-shotted it again, but maybe it's time that we calm down with the TNT title change and let Powerhouse have it. Let him beat some folks. And then the guy that I would build up at the end of the year to take it off of Hobbs would be Jungle Boy.
Ooh, yeah.
And that's who I would get up at, around when is All Out, September-ish.
Sounds right.
6 months here. We build up Jungle Boy to be the one to dethrone Hobbs and give Jungle Boy his first single titles win in AEW.
Yeah, that could be interesting. They've made it clear, or his character has made it clear that he's chasing a strap this year. Yeah,
and he is now jumping to Jungle Boy versus Christian Cage. He's now vanquished all his enemies in AEW, right? He has taken out Luchasaurus, and now he has finally got retribution on Christian Cage in what I thought was a pretty good match. I mean, it was super short, but it did its job, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Cage, that's a choice with the turtleneck tank top. I mean, just he's so damn good, man. Just I love Christian Cage so much. It was a little comical the way that Jungle Boy just shut the casket and then it just fell.
I thought it was pretty badass. I mean,
I don't know. It kind of took me out of it a little bit. I was like, oh, okay. And I think it probably because it reminded me of those what was it? Here Comes the Pain. One of those wrestling games where that was the thing. You shut the casket and then it just dropped down. But yeah, I thought it was a good match too.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It might have been a little too on the nose to have him sit there outside the casket and contemplate. And
I think that part went a little too long. Yeah, I did like that he acknowledged that though, and commentary kind of built it up that Christian was a father figure to him, and so this is, as much as he hates Christian, right? There's a part of him I'm sure that still loves him.
Right.
So I like that, but yeah, I think you're probably right. It probably went just a little too on the nose because I think it went a little too long.
I did enjoy it. I'm not saying I didn't dislike it. I think it was maybe a little too on the nose.
Yeah.
But yeah. So let's go into the tag match. We'll give each of these a few minutes, and then we'll shift gears a little bit. What are you thinking there?
You talking about the regular
Four-way.
tag team, the 4-way? I mean, yeah, it's what we talked about, right? We just didn't know FTR would be back this quickly. We said April, and like we said, you keep it on the guns because FTR is going to come back, and they showed back up.
Yeah, I thought it was a little quick. I thought sometime in April we'd see him back. And the speculation and the all what you would say the if you were to believe the dirt sheets was that they came back because they've got an extension, et cetera, et cetera. But then Dax made it seem on his podcast that that's not necessarily the case. But they cut a pretty emotional promo last night on Dynamite. So we can cover sort of all these things
Yeah.
now.
I mean, Tony's got to be the biggest idiot in the world if he brought FTR back and didn't sign them to an extension.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you don't do it, right? You have somebody like you keep going somewhere else. FTR still over as shit. Fans still love him. Hell of a promo Wednesday night. That's what you have those guys for. And Austin and Colton have a lot of potential, and now they get to be in a feud with arguably the best tag team going today. And so we get to see what the Guns have potential-wise. I would still have FTR take those titles off of them because the money match is the trilogy match with the Young Bucks. I mean, that's where it's at, FTR and the Young Bucks. And like we talked about before, like especially if CM Punk's going to come back, you fucking run CM Punk and FTR versus the Elite.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what happens there. I just want to give more praise and love to Jeff Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett, at fucking 50-something years old, he is as entertaining as he's ever been. And I love watching him. I love the Fargo strut. I love the fact that they figured out how to use Satnam now to where he just comes in and does these just ridiculous-looking spots because he's so damn big. And I think I'm going to say, maybe I'll say something a little bit crazy here. I think there is potential, and I think you can do it with the group of Sanjay and Jarrett and Lethal and Satnam all turning babyface at some point. I think it is doable. I think just because it's such a quirky looking group with all those fucking guys, I think it could be a little bit of comedy involved. And you could get those four guys over as babyfaces. They probably won't do that because they have a lot of utility as being the heels. But yeah, I thought the match was short, but I thought, again, much like we talked about leading into the pay-per-view, the one team that was a little bit forgetful in all of this was the Guns. But obviously they're going to be the ones to feud with FTR, so that'll change going forward.
Yeah, as you mentioned, the Satnam with Danhausen in the ring together was funny.
It's great stuff.
Yeah, so let's go to the women's world championship 3-way: Jamie Hayter versus Saraya versus Ruby Soho. I think you called this one right with Ruby turning.
Yeah, although I thought Saraya would win the title.
Yeah,
and I'm still not sure if that's. I know Jamie Hayter is over, but if you're trying to get a heel group over, a heel faction over, they have to take things from the baby faces, right? They can't just spray ales on their chest when they beat them, right? They have to like run roughshod and start ripping shit away from baby faces. And the one thing you can take from the homegrown group is you can take away that women's title. So I don't know. I'm not sure if I still wouldn't have had Saraya win this. Obviously, they kept it on Jamie Hayter, who is just talk about being a star. I mean, the crowd is so in love with her for all the right reasons, right? I mean, I think Jamie Hayter is the best in-ring women's wrestler in the world right now. She doesn't have the kind of total package in the way that like a Becky Lynch or a Bianca Belair has, but she's not far from that level, I don't think. But yeah, we predicted a Ruby Soho heel turn, and we got it after the bell. And so we'll see what happens now. Obviously, Wednesday night, Ruby Soho cut one hell of a promo.
Yeah.
That's the heel promo of, you fans are at fault here is very cliche territory, but she fucking knocked it out of the park, and all of it made sense Wednesday to the as much where you go like she's talking, you go, oh, she's got a point. Like, yeah, nobody really gave a shit about her.
Yeah, it all made sense last night.
Yeah. And then, of course, you get Willow involved, right? Because that's another woman that you can kind of bring into this fold to try to work with Ruby and try to get her more cachet going forward in that women's division. I'm interested to see if they don't pull Jade Cargill into this feud somehow.
Well, I wanted to touch on that too. Like, she was on there last night. She had been off for a little bit, and she said she would have a match with somebody next week in Canada.
Yeah.
Who is that going to be?
I'm not sure. I don't think it's anybody on the roster right now.
Okay.
So they'll bring in somebody, I'm sure. There's probably a big time independent women's wrestler who's from Canada that they'll bring in, and Jade will get her 54th win, I think, over that woman. The part of Jay, at some point, her story has to not exist in its own little universe. She's kind of got the Cody Rhodes treatment since he's left for WWE. Cody's, all of his feuds felt so sectioned off from everything else that was happening on the program. Mm-hmm. And Jade has now taken up that mantle where there's basically a civil war happening in the women's division and she's not focused on it at all, which I think is a mistake. I would honestly have Jade Cargill go with the way of Saraya and Ruby and Tony and have her add to that faction, because it seems as if what they're gearing up to do is a women's blood and guts match, which I think is 5-on-5, if I'm not mistaken. So you gotta add some more people here to both sides, and Jade makes the most sense to go with the heels, and it gives her something to do. So, because I think you already have your five baby faces. You got Jamie, Britt, Sheeta, Willow. Maybe it's just 4-on-4. I mean, if you needed 5.
Last year was 5.
It's okay. So maybe you put Sky Blue in there with the baby faces or something.
Yeah, that, or if depends on when you do it and when Statlander could be back.
Or Statlander. There you go. There's your 5th woman right there in place of Sky Blue. So yeah, I mean that, and I would like that. I'd like to see a women's blood and guts match. For as much shit as like people on the internet have been like, oh fucking, we don't like watching women bleed and shit. I love that AEW is like, all right, well, we're going to put them in a match that's literally called Blood and Guts. And we're going to tear down the house. So, yeah, this is I thought the match overall, I thought the match was good. I mean, these triple threat matches are always difficult. The best triple threat ever is probably Danielson, Christopher Daniels, and Low-Ki from the first Ring of Honor event. And that was, there's been a myriad of triple threat matches since then, and I don't think any of them's come close to that one. They're just tough to pull off to make sure everybody gets their shine in a way that makes sense. Yeah. Where you don't have like one woman just outside the ring for no damn reason while 2 people are wrestling in there, So, yeah, they're a good match though.
So quickly, a little bit from last night on Dynamite. Start the show. Yet another Orange Cassidy versus Jay Lethal match. Why do they keep going to that well?
I don't know.
There's like other people that Cassidy could be fighting.
Yeah, they tried to explain it. Whatever. I mean, I guess you want Cassidy on the show because you need him to get jumped, because you want to do the tie-in with the Shazam movie, because now the All-Atlantic title is the international title, which what's really the difference between an international title and a world title? Isn't that kind of the same thing?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's fine. I mean, it's a changing of a name that nobody was asking for, right?
Yeah. When they're like, here's a Tony Khan with a special announcement, I was like, well, hey, first of all, they usually announce when he's going to be on the show. And I was like, what could this be?
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, okay. So, like, did this need to be a thing?
Again, my man does not need to be on TV. He's just not. He's not ready. He drags down the show.
How many times did he say level up?
Oh, he got it. Was almost as if like it was a mandate from Warner Brothers. It was like, you have to say level up 17 times in the span of 45 seconds.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, well, fuck it. I'm just going to wait till the last 40 or the last 5 seconds. I'm just going to repeat level up, level up, level up.
He just kept repeating. That wasn't the only thing he said repeatedly. He said several other things repeatedly, but I was like, come on, dog.
And I get it. Like, it's tough talking in front of a camera like that in front of millions of people, but like, don't put yourself in that situation to do it. You're the one writing the show, my man.
Give it to fucking Excalibur. Let him do his job.
Yeah. Anybody.
Be like, hey, special announcement via Tony Khan. Just came across my desk.
Yeah, they did it Sunday night with Shivani going down there to deliver that Tony didn't want it to end in a draw.
Yeah.
Just fucking do that. Do anything else.
That was good shit.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it.
I'm interested in Orange Cassidy versus Jarrett, though, next week. Should be good. I like that Jarrett hit him with a guitar over Cassidy's knee. That was a change of pace, too.
Yeah, that was fun. Okay, I think we can wrap that up and move into WWE. Like I said, we're going.
And we missed the trios match.
Oh fuck, we did. We went completely over, and that shit was hot.
Yeah, that was a banger. We'll be quick about this because there's not much to say other than I would literally have House of Black beat the living shit out of everybody from now probably till all three of those guys retire. Because they are the shit together.
Yeah. I loved it. Yeah, because how did I miss that? It's right there on the fucking list. The main event, the death match, and this one were like my three tops for the night. We figured this one was coming, and nobody's mad at it. And even Jericho last night, I thought was funny as hell. He was like, "So House of Black with your." The best entrance in modern wrestling. Come on out here. I thought that was pretty funny. And then they came out last night and it was pretty badass too. So them versus what are they doing? It's basically like a three-way, right? Them versus the Bucks or versus the Elite versus Jericho at Appreciation Society.
Yeah, it's a three-way. And I'd have House of Black beat the shit out of both teams.
Yeah, personally. Just everybody. Give them all hell. I would have House of Black keep the trios title for, I'm not kidding, a very long time. I would even have some of those guys win singles titles and still have the trios title together. Like, I would not be mad if Malachi Black won the TNT title while he was still trios champion. I would have that faction be one of the more dominant acts that I book on that show because the crowd loves them. They look badass. Like when they were standing across from the Elite, you were like, oh, okay, I could see how Kenny Omega could like put up a fight against House of Black. It looks like Buddy Matthews and Brody King should have just smashed both Nick and Matt Jackson in like 25 seconds. Yeah. And I love the fucking Meltzer driver into the Buddy Matthews knee. And last night, Brody walking down the fucking ramp with that belt around his neck.
Yeah.
I love that shit.
I mean, just
badass.
I mean, could you see a scenario where House of Black, I don't know, we're getting fantasy booking in the weeds here, but like, could Malachi be the world champion? Brody King be, TNT or all international, whatever the fuck it is, and Buddy Matthews have the other one, and just have those three guys come out wearing those three singles belts, and then Julia Hart is just holding the trios title, and House of Black just has all the gold for a couple months.
Fuck it, why not, man?
I mean,
who else is a good trios? I mean, Jericho Appreciation Society could cheat and win, which would be the only way they'd get it. AR Fox and Top Flight are fucking awesome, but they're not beating the House of Black. There's not a lot of other, for a while it seemed like they were trying to build up a bunch of trios teams, and they just have kind of done away with it. I mean, granted, they got the JAS who it seems like they're just picking three random people, whoever they want to be in the trios thing, right? It seems that way. I could be wrong about it.
Yeah, I think the way you have House of Black lose these titles is that they have to be destroyed from within. Yeah. Much like the Bloodline. Like, you have to have a Brody King or a Buddy Matthews and Malachi Black split to where it's an internal strife that causes them to lose to some kind of upstart trios team. And the reason House of Black doesn't go back for the trios titles is because now that they've disbanded or they've had a member go, and then you can spin off to like Malachi versus Brody or Malachi versus Buddy or however you do it that way.
So have we talked about this yet? Is Pac hurt, or why is Death Triangle not been a thing?
I have no idea.
Because the Luchas have been around, they've been on Dark and stuff. So I'm just wondering if maybe Pac is hurt, or if he's just back overseas chilling for a little while.
Yeah, I mean, he could just be hey, creative has nothing for you, so just hang out.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah, sorry, I don't know how the fuck I missed that one right there on the list. That was one of my top 3 of the night. So, but yeah, now let's switch gears over to WWE. I didn't make any notes for this week. I apologize. I was a little covered up today when I usually would have been making notes. The big thing for me from the week of WWE was the end of Raw for Monday night when Jimmy shows back up, when Sammy's in the ring and had a match versus, it was Sammy and Jimmy, and then Jay showed back up at the end, and Jay goes in and looks Jimmy in the eye, then he gets out and looks Sammy in the eye and hugs him, and then Sammy turns and tells Jimmy it's not too late, and then Jay kicks the shit out of Sammy in the neck. I yelled.
Yep.
I yelled, and I told my wife that it broke my heart a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, this is, again, it was just masterful stuff. I'm still not sure that I wouldn't have had Jay not touch Sammy at all till, the week before WrestleMania, or, done a thing where they didn't really fight each other at all that much until the WrestleMania match, and somehow they still ended it with like a handshake. Because I still think Jey Uso has to be the one to super kick Roman and cause Roman to lose the title. Yeah. I mean, you need to wrap that up in a nice little bow. But yeah, I mean, if they're gonna go this way, I mean, fuck, the crowd ate it up, right? I mean, they were heartbroken.
Yeah, and then Cody comes out to try to help save Sammy.
Yeah. Which just makes me think that Cody versus Roman main event is going to end with just a lot of fucking interference from everybody, right? You got to imagine that like Solo and Jimmy come down, and fucking Sami Zayn and KO are going to come out, and all these people are going to get involved. And I did like one little detail. I don't know if you caught this, because I don't know how much you watched of Raw, but in the backstage segment that had Elias and Rick Boogs.
Yeah, I missed that.
Yeah, when Boogs walked away, you could see Cody Rhodes talking to Kevin Owens in the background. Yeah, I love the little nuances and the little details like that they're doing, because we've talked about it. It brings you into that wrestling world. And obviously, Cody was probably getting to KO that, hey, he needs to join up with Sammy and go after those tag team titles, trying to convince him to help in their fight against the Bloodline. I do like how there are a lot of different people, though, coming together to try to topple the Bloodline. Because, Roman and Jimmy and Jay and now Solo here this year have really just they've left a lot of bodies in the wake, right? To their reign up to the top like this. So it makes sense that a bunch of guys need to band up together to try to take down the big bads. So that's kind of cool.
It's like a fucking Voltron of wrestlers.
Yeah. It's like a damn like medieval fucking fantasy story or something. We got to these band of dudes got to team up to go take down the dragon or something, But yeah, I mean, Sami Zayn is amazing. Jey Uso's amazing. Jimmy's amazing. You have all these super talented guys in, a once in a lifetime pro wrestling story, and everybody's just nailing their part to perfection. And it's a joy to watch.
Yeah, I hate that I didn't take the time to make notes, because I feel like I honestly do not remember anything else from the week in WWE, because I'm so honed in on the Bloodline story. The rest of it is just like side shit to me. Like it's mostly irrelevant. Like I've enjoyed some moments. I remember here and there some things, but like I couldn't pull you a match from this last week that didn't involve the Bloodline.
Yeah, well, the other big thing from Raw Monday was John Cena.
I missed that. Yeah.
Oh shit, you got to go back and watch that. John Cena in Boston just schooled Austin Theory on the microphone, and you could tell that, like, as much as the company wants Austin Theory to be like that next guy, he's not. Like, John Cena is 20 years in this game and a legend for a reason. And he just absolutely took Theory to school on the microphone, telling him that, like, hey, he doesn't have the heart, he doesn't have the brains to be a legend in this business, like the potential he has to be.
So what do they do with that match at Mania? Do they let Cena lose to put Austin over and make him seem like a big deal, or you don't bring?
I think
Cena. Go ahead.
I think that's what you do. You have Cena lose. I think you go to Austin, and you say, hey, this is your moment. Like, you're gonna beat John Cena, but like, we have a lot of stock invested in you, and we think highly of you. But now's the time for you to show it. Like, you got an opportunity, and when you get across the ring from a legend like that guy, don't let him beat you up too bad, which he took him to task Monday night. So now it's going to be interesting to see how many more face-to-face interactions they have leading up to WrestleMania. Because, John Cena kept hitting him with body shots and knockout blows, and Theory didn't really have an answer for it. Go back and watch the promo, and you'll see, like, oh, shit. I mean, it's and basically, it's what a lot of people have said about Theory, which is like, you're just generic. John Cena's big thing was like, I don't believe you, and these people don't believe you, and so you need to find it in yourself if you're gonna, to be a superstar here in WWE. So I think it'll be a great match, and we're not going to get too many more of these John Cena moments like this. The one thing that was super fucking ham-fisted, and I hated it with a passion, because when he stopped at the ramp, I said, shit, they're going to do it. John Cena gets out the ring with Austin Theory. He walks back up to the ramp. He says, Austin, you're not ready. You don't deserve WrestleMania, but here's a man who does deserve WrestleMania, the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes. And I was like, oh, shit. And they just had Cody come out, and John Cena and Cody hugged, and Cena raised his hand. And like, it's like what we talked about on this podcast. Cody Rhodes is being positioned to be the next John Cena, which is all well and good. I'm just not very interested in going back to that kind of storytelling.
Yeah.
So again, nothing against Cody, nothing against Cena. It was just, you could tell exactly what they were trying to do, and they did it. So, which goes back. Did you watch SmackDown from last Friday?
Yeah, I did. I didn't see most of Raw, but I did see SmackDown.
Of course, like we talked about on this podcast, what's going to happen when Cody Rhodes gets face-to-face with Roman Reigns for the first time? And I don't know how you felt about the Reigns and Cody promo. Again, not as bad as Cena and Theory, but I thought Roman took it to him.
I did too. I saw a lot of discussions about it and how great. I mean, I thought it was a good segment overall, but I thought Roman came out looking much better, as good as Cody usually is with his promos. And maybe that's just the story they wanted to tell for that night. But yeah, Roman looked like the better entertainer.
Well, Roman's line that got me the most, because we've discussed it here, was after Cody got done, Roman just started smiling. He was like, damn, you're good. And then he said, it sounds like you spent a week on that. Yeah, like what we talked about, the thing that I can feel the performative aspect of Cody Rhodes come through the screen. in a way that you do not feel with Roman Reigns. Everything when Roman speaks into that microphone, you feel like he is being 100% completely genuine.
So I'm going to say this, and I'm not shitting on any of my theater friends when I say this, because I have a lot of friends that have done or some still do theater. But it's like when you see like a movie or TV actor, and then you get a theater actor and try to put them in a movie or TV. Sometimes it works.
Yeah, it's like everything is like
don't.
turned up to 11 when it should be turned down to like a 6. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like the camera does a lot of the work.
Yeah, like Roman's got the subtleties down. And Cody, I still think Cody's a great performer and great with his promos, but it is a little too much sometimes.
Yeah, it's again like what we talked about. It's just I think his instincts are just a little bit off, or maybe he's trying too much. I don't know. I don't know. Obviously, a lot of people love him, and he is, he's deserving of a WrestleMania main event. He's deserving to be the guy in that company. I don't know. He's just not for me, I guess. It's the most respectful way I can say it. Particularly when you put him face to face against Roman Reigns.
Well, get used to him.
That's true. I also love that Roman just set the titles down and laid them in front of Cody. Because he was just like, it's such a badass thing to do.
Yeah.
Like, just lay him down.
So what do you want to talk about?
Yeah, what do you want to talk about? And like the fact that like you're just laying those titles down because you're not even remotely kind of intimidated that the other guy's going to take them from you. Like you can willfully give them up out of your possession, lay them in front of you in between the other two guys because you're that much more of a badass than that guy. Now, all that to be said, Roman Reigns is going to get beat at WrestleMania, but what if he doesn't? What if WWE calls an audible and they say, hey, we're not fucking ready to let the Bloodline and Roman Reigns go away? I don't know, man. That'd be one hell of a pivot if they decided to do that.
They've made it pretty clear that he's going to have some time off. So unless they've had a major change of heart.
Yeah, because I think the play probably for SummerSlam is a Roman versus Jey Uso, another match, or Solo Sikoa versus Roman, something like that. It'll be an inner bloodline feud probably at SummerSlam. Yeah, I would expect Cody Rhodes to probably honestly end up standing victorious at the end of WrestleMania with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn both in the ring.
Yeah, I mean that wouldn't be a shocker at this point.
You have the three of those guys that are there. I still don't, we got a little bit more Rhea Ripley stuff from SmackDown, and if the internet's correct, it still might be Rhea Ripley and Charlotte as the night one WrestleMania main event. I just do not see how you do not have the undisputed tag team match between the Usos and KO versus Sami go on last night one.
So what do you think about the way the card's shaping up? Because I saw somebody, I forgot who it was now, I should have made note of it, was kind of shitting on the way the lineup is shaping up, and saying like this could be the worst WrestleMania or the worst booked WrestleMania in a while. What do you think?
I don't think so, because I think that your two stories you have at the top of the card are as hot as anything's been in WWE.
Yeah, but I mean those two aside, I mean.
Yeah, but every WrestleMania, particularly when we went to 2 nights, has been like this. I mean, what do you remember from last year's WrestleMania?
Brock and Roman.
That and the fucking for me, it's the Knoxville match. And the women's match, so the 3 that I remember from, I couldn't even tell you the rest of the card last year's WrestleMania. At least
wasn't it Logan Paul and Miz?
Oh yeah, there was that. Yeah,
that was a good match though.
Yeah, and I mean,
but yeah, 2 nights is a lot, and it gets thin when you start stretching it out that long.
Yeah, and I mean, we still don't know. Maybe there's a Stone Cold that comes back here in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean,
obviously John Cena being at WrestleMania, that's a big get.
Yeah, and I mean, I at first I was kind of like, yeah, it's not going to be that great, but like I feel like Logan Paul and Seth Rollins will tear the house down.
Yeah.
Um, Bianca Belair and Asuka will be the shit.
Whoever the hell Gunther's in the ring with,
Yeah,
Gunther's going to tear it down. So, like, I mean, you could look at it and say, yes, I mean, you could say, oh, the booking is a little bit stale, but like, I don't feel that way.
yeah. I don't either. I mean, I'm sure there'll be some sleepers in there. But for now, like, I don't really see it.
No, I mean, there'll be stinkers. Every WrestleMania's got, the fucking, hey, my number one favorite for stinker of all time match would be whatever the fuck Bobby Lashley and the Bray Wyatt Uncle Howdy ragtag group of misfits is going to do.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably going to be dog shit, but
Could not fucking care.
I think, yes, like you said, Seth and Logan are going to try to tear it down. Cody and Roman will be good just for the feel of it, right? It'll feel like a big time title fight. KO and Sammy reuniting to take down the Usos, that'll be big. Bianca and Asuka, that's gonna be a fucking banger too.
Yeah.
Then you might have Lita and Trish Stratus.
Oh, and then
too.
fucking Ray and Dominic.
Oh yeah, that's like my second or third match I'm looking forward to the most. So yeah, I think it'll be a good WrestleMania.
I saw I sent a TikTok to Jamie a couple hours ago. It was Dominic and Rhea backstage, and it was to the audio that they used was that Stewie from Family Guy going, "Ma, Mama,
Oh yeah,
Mommy."
that's great. That's funny.
It was pretty good.
I did want to bring this up on the podcast because it'd be a pretty interesting thought experience. And if the listeners out there have any thoughts, let us know on Twitter. But how much different do you think this WrestleMania season would be if instead of AEW's ratings kind of being in the toilet and being down from they've been in years past, what if Dynamite was doing like a 1.4 or a 1.5 million every single Wednesday? How much different do you think the WWE would be right now?
That's a good question.
Would it be different at all? Or would they feel a type of way and feel some pressure and be like, shit, this competition, 1.5 million, that's damn near what Monday Night Raw is doing.
What does Monday Night Raw get?
Like I think 1.8, something like that.
I don't know. Because, like, okay, when I jumped back into wrestling, I know I've gone over this a bunch on the show, but if you never listened, I started watching wrestling again about, 4 years ago, and then AEW started about 3 years ago, I think. My math may be off on that.
Yeah.
But I had about a year of watching WWE pretty much exclusively with some NXT sprinkled in. And then AEW started, and then I was watching, Raw and SmackDown and AEW, Dynamite. There was no Rampage at the time. And then I just started gravitating toward the matches and the wrestlers in AEW more. And I was like, I also trying to watch 3 shows a week seemed, it was a little daunting. I was also working a pretty grueling schedule at the time, day jobs and freelance jobs, et cetera, et cetera. So I just went exclusively to AEW. Then Rampage starts. So then there's 2 nights there, which granted Rampage is only an hour. And then I guess it was not too long after Mania last year I started watching again. And then a little bit, kind of here and there in WWE. And then McMahon got removed or whatever happened there exactly. And then I started devoting a lot more time to SmackDown. And I only recently kind of started watching it Raw, like maybe in the last couple, basically just to get Bloodline plot points on Monday nights, because 3 hours is a lot for a Monday night. But I just wonder if some people are like just more in tune with what's and are just not, they just don't have the time on Wednesdays and went back to watching more WWE because of the Bloodline story.
Well,
just because there's not been a really captivating story in AEW. I wonder if there's some of that is maybe to blame or what.
Yeah, just a lack of urgency, I think, on Dynamite's part. I just think if Dynamite was on a roll and those ratings were trending up and they were routinely around 1.4 and 1.5 million every Wednesday, I think this WrestleMania season would be very, very different. I think they would have backed the Brinks truck up to get fucking The Rock to be at WrestleMania.
Mhm.
I think you would already have seen Stone Cold by now if he was going to be here. Like, I think, you probably wouldn't have this Bobby Lashley, Bray Wyatt stuff. I think that they just don't feel intimidated by AEW in a way that maybe they felt, 2.5 years ago. And
Yeah.
it's caused not that WWE's bad. I just think some of the decisions they made, I think you for sure would have seen Sami Zayn in the main event. I think they would have felt compelled to do that because they wanted to be something surprising.
Yeah.
I don't know if he would have beat Roman at Elimination Chamber necessarily, but I think the decision-making process leading into WrestleMania would be very different if the competition over there on the Turner Network was a little bit more stout than what it is now.
Yeah. I mean, you might be right there.
Just something to think about. So, listeners, if you think, hey, let us know. I think it's a cool thought experiment to have now that we have two wrestling companies in North America again for the first time in damn near 20 years.
Yeah. Holler at us on Twitter at Alabama Slam Pod. You can holler at us on Instagram, but we probably won't be too interactive there. We might just hit like if you comment there. Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I believe Dynamite had like 850 last night. They seem to be falling a little bit. I feel like they'll get people back. I mean, if you want to believe everything backstage, he could be cancerous, but CM Punk would bring in numbers. I feel like, at least briefly, get those numbers back up.
Yeah, to say the least. Yeah, yes, he would definitely. You would have there would be a lot of chatter online about what's happening. There'd be a lot of eyeballs tuning in, I think, if that were to come back.
Well, I think that's about it from me, unless you got something else you want to holler about this week.
No, that's it. I mean, WWE's in full tow, WrestleMania. AEW has banger pay-per-views and then kind of seems to struggle following it up week to week. And if there were just a way to fucking meld these two companies together where you had Bloodline level storytelling happening, alongside action-packed balls to the wall action that happens on Dynamite. I mean, fuck, this would be a hell of a program to watch. I did buy Honor Club, by the way, to watch.
Did you?
Yeah, I mean, I talked about last week how fucking stupid I thought it was you put Eddie Kingston in Ring of Honor. But if that's the only way I get to watch Eddie Kingston, then shit, I guess you did it right then, Tony Khan. You fucking got $10 from me.
Take my goddamn money.
Shit. Although I have been going back and watching the Ring of Honor events from the beginning since 2002. So a lot of Bryan Danielson. Almost. And then when they get on a streaming service, I guess like all the fucking good Bryan Danielson matches, minus like probably 6 or 7 of them, are all going to live on that streaming network between Ring of Honor and fucking AEW.
Yeah.
It's a hell of a library they have there.
Yeah. Well, all right, man. If that's it, we'll say bye to y'all. We've run a little long, so I won't go through everything I normally go through. But y'all tune in next Friday and holler at us on Twitter at Alabama Slam Pod, and we'll talk to y'all next week.
Later, guys.